Yeah, on.
Two twins.
Sing me a love song.
I'm gonna.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That's terrible.
It's good. You don't know how to do it.
How do I do it?
I'm gonna show you. I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first. Let's go into the patio.
And then right to Lacey Underall, skinny dipping down the slide, which is a personal favorite part. Why did I play that? There's actually a reason. So in addition to, and we'll get to it, but I described you as, I said in the last episode, we were going to be having a guest. I said that you're not famous, but that you are infamous, as they say.
I think that's spot on.
I think that's fair. Now we certainly have a lot of Caddyshack connections and we'll sort of get to that, but here's the reason I played that besides the fact that it's amazing. When I started doing the research on today's episode, handpicked by our guest, I noticed that one of the keys to the sound was the Wurlitzer piano, right? And I sort of like could hear it and it was like, oh, it's that's the same piano as Ty Webb. This is amazing. I'm going to tie it all together. We're going to play that to intro the episode. I'm going to say there's a reason we're playing that. It's because that's a big part of today's episode. And you know what? As it turns out, Chevy's playing a Fender Rhodes. It's not even a Wurlitzer. So it kind of ruined the whole thing. But then I was like, you know what? F it. I'm just going to play it anyway because it's probably one of the best scenes in film history while they're sitting there at Briar 2. So listen, multi-purpose for playing that. But part of the reason is today's guest who, there's so many ways to describe him beyond just being infamous. He's a good pal. He's a fan of the show. We used to work together. We used to play a little together on the road and such.
Which had nothing to do with rubbing you first.
No. Well, maybe if it got cold enough, right? But I would like to welcome a guy. We've been talking for months about doing this. Maybe even like years at this point.
I think years is more accurate. Yeah.
Because we've been doing this for a bit, but fellow podcaster who operates along with his first officer, Drew, the podcast known as Sam and Drew Talk Training, a handpicked album where instead of just us doing it, we figured let's just have Sam Fauser join us and we can do a little cross pod promotion and we can welcome you because you have been a good support. In fact, in one of your recent episodes, you called us out for taking this long break.
And rightly so.
Well, 100%. You can talk to Nubs about that. 100%. And it actually was a bit of a catalyst, I'll be honest, I had already been kind of hounding Nubs, but for us to kind of say, you know what, it's time, let's go, enough of this hibernation. And we put out an episode already prior to this, our album of the year 2022 review. And now here we are doing your handpicked album, Supertramp Breakfast in America. And welcome to the show, Sam Fauser.
Well, thanks. I got to tell you, as I was getting ready for today and, with all the advance notice on the email to sign in, that was fantastic.
I told you weren't going to get that very early.
Yeah. I was remembering my high school days. It's like I got invited to sit with the cool kids at the table. And as you were doing the intro, Nubs was acting just like the cool kids at the high school table and paying no attention to either one of us, doing whatever he's doing over there.
It's kind of how this works. Now you get the visual of what's really happening here.
And you see his mute keeps going on and off. He's trying to decide at what point he wants to drop a bomb on us.
It's going to happen.
If I get a word in, I would, boys. The thing is, I know the Caddyshack connection between you two. It's very strong, and I like it. I just can't get over the fact that my brother thought it was a Wurlitzer. My instrument nerd brain just can't get over that. So I'm just letting you guys riff. I'll jump in at some point.
I couldn't get over the fact that both of you nerds knew what kind of piano it was when Lacey Underall was in the scene. That's what I can't get over.
It says a lot about me that I was looking at the piano.
Yeah, exactly.
Not good.
Yeah.
Not a good sign for my manhood.
Yeah, you'll get nothing and like it.
So,
exactly.
So here's a debate we've had. Is the better scene Carl and Ty in the shed? The cannonball and the
California Sensimilla and Kentucky Bluegrass. It's a hybrid.
Yeah. Featherbed Blunt. Is it that scene that wins, or is it the scene that we just got a piece of where Ty, does the tequila shot, sort of sings the song, and then does the big rub? That's what they call it in the East.
Well,
and the whole conversation between he and Lacey before the piano, because that's also amazing.
I think the conversation we're having now, and you guys both being the parents of multiple children will get this. You're asking me to choose my favorite kid. Yeah. I mean, how can I pick a favorite scene out of Caddyshack? And, the first thing that always comes to me is, Mrs. Gray, you're a monkey woman. You're lean and you're mean and you're not so far in between, are you? I bet. So that's kind of the one that sticks out for me.
While he's at the ball washer.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. No, calm yourself.
How would you like to wrap your spikes around my? I mean, he's just so good.
But started here. We're not even going to get to the album.
Yeah, I know. Choosing between those two scenes, though, I have found even just wrestling with it in my own mind is nearly impossible.
Well, I mean, and then you throw in, here's an uncashed check for $25,000. Here's another one. Here's another one.
Keep it. It's yours.
Yeah. And
I like keep it. That's a great Chevy. Keep it.
And then what were you hunting? No, dolphin. I mean, it's amazing. Your uncle molests collies. Oh
my God. I mean, I'm already down the rabbit hole. Somebody's Nubs. You're gonna have to rescue us, or this could go on all day.
Exactly. I mean, well, and for good reason. I mean, look, we could Caddyshack riff all day, but
hey, I got an idea. I got a way we can pull out of Caddyshack. Let's go round and round. Sam, why don't you lead the way, buddy? Anything that's been on the musical radar or spinning around? Or whatever. What medium are you listening to music? Are you a streamer? Are you still doing CDs? Like, what's your medium?
I'm definitely not doing CDs. In fact, I was looking on Amazon today to see if I could even find a CD player to play some of these things that I've got. But no, I'm typically on the iPhone and playing Apple Music. So. Mm-hmm. And I'm a little worried I'm going to get kicked out of the Cool Kids table because one of my albums for Round and Round is actually a compilation. So hopefully the judges won't throw me out from the beginning. My first one is...
depends on what it is, but I think you're safe.
Okay. I think it's a pretty good one. But my first album would be John Mayer, Where the Light Is. So it's a live album, and he goes through all three iterations. He does a solo thing, then he does the trio, which is amazing. And my daughter and I... just love John Mayer, and she loves Pino Palladino. She just loves saying that name out loud as bass player.
Okay, now I've perked up. Pino Palladino.
Yeah, right.
One of the best bassists ever.
I mean, that guy is great.
Nubs, welcome to the podcast.
Well, like he said, it's probably going to be tough for him to get a word in edgewise. So I think that was well played. So that's first, and then as we were talking. When we were doing ours and we were talking about the Speedwagon and High Infidelity has been on my playlist. I just love that album. That was when I was in high school, and that was great. I saw them on the High Infidelity tour at Chrysler from behind the stage because I didn't get my ass up in time to get tickets. And then the compilation is Stevie Wonder number ones, and Superstition with that guitar riff when it comes in. That just, every time I hear that, it makes me go crazy.
Nothing wrong with that. I'd say we're good with Stevie. Judges?
We accept. Compilations, hard to say whether that's an album or not, but Sam, for you, we accept. No
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Nubs, what do you got?
I'd like to shout out some of the people I work with. We have a new system at work where we have a rotation where we choose an album and that person's choice gets played and we all listen to it while we work in our little creative hub that we have. And it's been very cool because I get to impart my bad taste on two very unassuming young ladies who must think, what the hell is he choosing all the time? And I get to be brought in on their taste a little bit as well. So I want to shout out Carly and Sam, these two ladies that I work with and who it's so much fun to do this little routine with every day.
Are they the reason you're into Harry Styles suddenly? Is that who I blame for this?
You're about to find out.
Oh, my Lord.
My first choice is going to be Harry Styles' Harry's House, which was chosen by Carly, who I work with, who loves Harry Styles. And now I, too, love Harry Styles, although I kind of did before.
Wasn't Harry Styles such a fun record? A One Direction boy?
He was. Yeah, but he, you guys are going to laugh at me for saying this, but he really left like the boy band sound behind. Now he's more of kind of a funk artist, like really good, really, really good.
My lovely darling Emily was a huge One Direction fan, and she proclaimed to me one day that they would be bigger than the Beatles. I still haven't stopped laughing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, in the last episode, Nubs introduced a song towards the end, the sushi restaurant song.
Yeah.
So
music from a sushi restaurant.
For those who haven't tuned in yet to episode 82, you can get a little sampling and you can get some of Nubs' thoughts on that track.
Yeah. It's so good. And the album's so fun. That's been a fun one to hear. Shout out to Sam, who I can't live without at work. And she manages basically my entire existence at work. She's the best assistant ever. And she is very into these next two artists. The first one, Sam Fauser, amazingly enough, John Mayer was a choice. Heavier Things we listened to last week. Really, really good record. So that's kind of reestablished my, kind of John Mayer interest. I do agree the Trio is his best era, but this was right around then. So Heavier Things, very cool album. And this is really going to piss off my brother, Taylor Swift with Midnights.
Wow.
You know what? I almost went Swiftie on you too, because her song is it's adolescent at best, but she's talented. And
so we also covered this in episode 81.
We did, much to the chagrin of 1T.
Well, really in the same sentence of the Harry Styles thing. And listen, I never thought when we started this back in 2020 that I would get a round and round from Nubs that listed the following: Harry Styles, John Mayer, and Taylor Swift. So,
yeah, that's not on brand.
God help us all.
Definitely not on brand. I might need some brand management, T. I might need to call the brand manager from the recent South Park episode.
Did you see it?
I watched it last night. Incredible.
Isn't it good?
You were so right, dude. You were so right.
Sam, I don't know if you're a South Park fan, but they did an episode just hammering Prince Harry and Meghan, whatever her name is. And it's just perfect. I mean, they just grill these two in the most South Park of ways. And it's, even if you don't like the show that much, it's worth the watch.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
It's one of those like perfect South Parks. Every minute of it is them nailing it. And you're right. They just completely destroy the whole idea of all the hypocrisy behind Prince Harry and his book and all that. I mean, it's incredible. It's so good. T, tell us what's round around for you, man.
All right. I got, actually this is an 80s, like, I don't know. They weren't really a one-hit wonder. Many people probably think they are, but the band is called Breathe, and they did the song called Hands to Heaven, which is Tonight I need your sweet caress. Hold me in the darkness. Tonight you about that. You know what I'm saying? You know that one?
You gonna be okay, buddy?
And
I love that song. I got that
so
like on my
good.
main mix, and every time it comes on, I'm like, I'm not changing this today.
So dude, listen, the album, the Breathe album is great.
I've got it. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's really smooth, you know. It's like
It's very, very slick.
Yeah,
Very slick.
yeah.
But you know, they had another hit with How Can I Fall, which is another like legit hit. And then they had a song called Don't Tell Me Lies. So I mean it's actually like you definitely recognize 3 or 4 cuts off this thing, but it's called All That Jazz. Pretty sure it was the only thing they ever did. But you know, it's always nice to take a group that had like a hit, like seen as one hit wonder, and check out their album to see if it's any good. And it was actually really good. Listen, I have gotten into a little bit of a rabbit hole with a certain artist. See if you guys can maybe guess it. 70s, AOR. It's a guy's name, not a band. Laid back. Yeah, kind of yacht rocky, almost folky.
It's a guy's name. The band name is a guy's name, or it's just an artist?
It's an artist.
Oh, like a singer-songwriter?
Yeah.
Jay Ferguson.
No, more famous than that. Not really.
Boss Skaggs.
No, a little more stripped down folky than Boss Skaggs.
But still yacht rock?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
One more hint.
I'll just tell you. Dan Fogelberg.
Oh,
Dan Fogelberg.
dude, that's
Nice.
solid.
I didn't really understand the whole Dan Fogelberg thing. I kind of just thought he was like one of those wimpy singer-songwriter, you know, 70s AOR guys, which is all sort of still true. But he's put out some really good stuff. And again, like full albums, you know, early on that kind of would rock out here and there. And his record Innocent Age is a classic. And I
love that double album. It's so good. It's so epic. It's like, yeah, it's really, it's his best for sure.
Totally, man. So I kind of got into Fogelberg a little bit here lately. You know?
There's nothing to be ashamed about there.
All right. Well, that's good. I was a little hesitant, but
I mean, it's not like you jumped on both of us for Taylor Swift, but
well, at least Dan Fogelberg plays instruments, right? So that's the main difference between the two.
She fake plays a guitar sometimes.
Yeah, ish.
I've seen her fake play a piano too, I think.
Yeah, I think she fake plays piano.
I think she fakes a lot of things, that woman, but that's a separate conversation. My third choice is M83. This is Hurry Up, We're Dreaming, which contains the blistering Midnight City, one of the best, probably a top 10 song for me all time, maybe 15. So kind of getting into that. They have a new record coming out in the next couple months. So that is what is round and round for me. You know, I think before we even get into it, I mean, Sam, you claim to be a fan, of the podcast. Is that correct? I mean, you claim that you are a fan?
I have made that claim, yes.
Yeah. Well, guess what, buddy?
Here comes a game, I'm thinking.
We're about to find out. We're about to find out. Huh?
I'm ready.
And now, please welcome our special guest, Sam Fauser, who has apparently, allegedly claimed to be a fan of the show. To the newest game show that everybody's talking about. It's all a buzz. The ratings are beyond belief, and that show is called... I actually don't even have a name. How big of a fan are you? I don't know. There it is. How big of a fan are you?
Well, I'm a big enough fan to know that if we're playing a game, I have to have my hands where you can see them.
Absolutely. Yes. Let's see them.
Sam, you'll get criticized for cheating. How on earth would you cheat during one of these games? I mean, come on.
Right?
All right, you already get a bonus point for knowing the hands up thing.
Yeah, I'd say he wins just based on that.
Maybe winner. All right.
Give him the belt.
All right, buddy. 10 questions, 2 twins and an album trivia. We've never done this before.
I'm going to set the over-under at 5.5.
So you'd be pleased with a 6? Is that what I'm hearing?
I would be ecstatic.
Okay. I think I'd be pleased if you got 1. I'm already pleased that you just knew the hands up thing. But all right, so here we go. 10 questions. Are you ready?
I was born for this.
Nubs, I have to read the questions, so you need to make sure he's not cheating.
See, unlike you, I trust Sam.
I don't. I
You're not
never
gonna
have.
cheat?
I never will.
Where would he look these up? Like Two Twins in an Album's website? I mean, you know, are many blogs that are out there about us?
You know what movie this is from? Most of all, I just don't trust you.
I don't.
No. Ocean's 11. Okay.
Nice.
Are you ready, Sam Fauser? Question 1.
I am ready.
Episode 1 of Two Twins in an Album dropped on July 1st, 2020. What album did the boys cover?
Oh, I believe it was a Seattle grunge band, but I don't remember the album. And I do have the Google up, but I'm not going to cheat.
Is that your final answer?
It's my final answer.
I mean, does he get half a point? Do we do halvesies?
If we're gonna do half credit, I would say forget the points. That answer was impressive. It was impressive.
Take a guess. Just take a stab at it. Seattle band.
I think it was Nirvana. But
and what album?
Oh no, that's
okay.
Not
You know what?
wheelhouse.
You get it right. You got Nirvana.
We're gonna give him that.
Yeah, we're giving it to you. That was in Utero by Nirvana. Close enough.
There you go. I was never a Nirvana fan when they were big.
Well, can't always blame you for that.
That makes 3 of us.
Kurt Cobain was pretty annoying. Yeah, that's actually true. And now I even just sort of like him, you know. All right, you're 1 for 1. Should we stop?
Well, I mean, 100% is pretty good.
All right,
but it is shy of 6, so.
Well, question 2. Here we go. Name all of the regular segments in each Two Twins in an Album episode in order, as well as what we play and or reference for each.
Oh my God. Seriously? This is like 6 questions in one. Wow. Well, of course, Round and Round, because we just did it.
Correct.
And then I believe there's Wonder Stories.
Correct.
And
not
then
in order, but that's okay. Keep going.
Oh, it's not. And
that's okay. Keep going. Forget
it.
order.
You drop the needle on the record.
Correct.
And then we hear What's in Your Head.
Correct.
And then finally the final cut.
First of all, it's amazing. Second of all, you're only missing 1.
Shit.
Again, I still would give him the point.
Oh, he's getting the
one.
He's getting the point.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. What am I missing?
I'll give you a hint. It's early on in the episode when we kind of give the skinny on the album.
Oh. It's Dirty Deets.
You got it. Nerdy Deets.
Nerdy Deets. Yes, by AC/DC.
Yep.
You want some dirty deeds?
So Round and Round is the Rat song. Nerdy Deets is Brian Johnson. Wonder Stories. Do you know which song that is? Or who does that song that we play? It's one of Nubs' favorite bands.
I know. Isn't it? Oh my goodness gracious!
You got this. You got this.
I know the song, but no, I'm drawing a blank.
It's a Yes song. And then the final cut, you know what that's a reference to?
So disappointed in myself.
You're doing, you're doing amazing.
The final cut is the Spinal Tap thing.
It's a Pink Floyd reference. It's their last album.
Okay.
And then In Your Head, of course, is Dolores O'Riordan.
Yeah, and you hitting the button 17 times depending on your mood.
Sam, you are 2 for 2. I think
hitting the button 17 times is another bonus point. Sam's going to end up with 500 points by the time this game's over.
I'm about to cry. This is getting emotional now. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Question 3. What is the band that causes the most polarizing opinion between the two brothers and was featured in episode 66?
Nickelback.
Polarizing? Do we disagree on Nickelback?
I thought you did. I thought Nubs liked Nickelback and you do not.
Is that your final answer?
That's going to be my final answer. I'm going to say it's wrong by the way you're leading me to somewhere else.
So we actually quite agree on Nickelback. This is Pearl Jam.
Right.
We often talk.
I'm really disappointed in myself because now that you say that, yes, I recall that.
We often talk at length about how annoying and irritating I think Pearl Jam is and how much Nubs thinks they're amazing. Okay. Hey, you're 2 for 3. You're kicking ass.
And bonus points, according to Nubs.
Yeah, lots of bonus points. Question 4. The boys, in addition to Sam Fauser, the boys have had 7 guests on the podcast. Name 2 of them.
Rupert.
Rupert Holmes is correct.
Which was an amazing guest. And that's all I got for you because they were from bands that I didn't know. But I know they were amazing guests.
Nubs, can you name the remaining 6?
Yeah. I say I get the point if he can't.
All the guests that we've had?
Yeah, besides Rupert and Sam Fauser.
Rupert, Jim Ward from Sparta.
Yep.
Mick Box from Uriah Heep.
Yep.
Your boyfriend from Humphreys McGee, Brandon Bayless.
Right. Yeah, your boyfriend. Yeah, there was some man love going on in that one.
It's still oozing through his microphone.
Yeah.
How many is that? Did we get them all?
You get 3. Yeah, 3 left.
Eddie the King Rozier from Urge Overkill.
Yep.
Oh, you had another guest that wasn't an artist. It was like a friend or
Bill
a
Keith
friend of the show.
Bill Keith. There you go. There you go. Nice.
And that's all.
That's actually the one I thought Fauser might get, the 88.1 guy.
Yeah.
And
No,
then
I remember the episode. I just didn't remember his name.
And then who was the other guy, Nub?
That's all of them, isn't it?
Did you say the last one after Bill Keith?
I named a bunch. Eddie the King, Mick Box, Brendan Bayless.
I think you're only missing one. And this
Jim
is somebody
Ward.
that you set up. Think 90s abrasive rock.
Oh, handsome. Peter.
Yeah, Peter.
Yeah. That's right.
All right.
You guys have had some rock solid guests.
Well,
We've done well with guests. I think my favorite overall was Mick Box. He was just so fun and entertaining, and
he was great.
Listen,
I think they've all been great. I mean, none of them sound like, oh yeah, I got to do this thing. They all sounded like they were happy to be there.
Yeah, it seemed that way. Like it was not like a wood chop for any of them. And I think, you and I talked about a little bit on your podcast.
On my pod.
On your pod, right? Where Rupert, when he learned that we actually wanted to talk about the Adventure album and not talk pina coladas. And I mean, I think he instantly was like, all right, these guys are actually interested in my work.
I think that's the show that hooked me.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, because that was very entertaining to listen to.
Yeah, and part 1 is just kind of bullshit and fun, and then part 2 we dig into the album. I mean, yeah, that was a great one. I told you earlier that the raw on that, he spent over 3 hours with us.
Yeah,
I mean, that was just awesome. All right, question 5. Here we go. Pop stars. What famous pop star did Toph hug in 1996, whose band opened for 311 in Pontiac?
I got nothing.
And in case the Rhodes piano thing is still lingering, I hugged her too.
After I did.
Well, it doesn't matter.
I hugged her, and then every other freaking guy, within a mile radius also decided he had to hug her.
You were the originator. You were the originator.
I broke it.
You broke the seal.
All right, it was Gwen Stefani. No doubt was opening for 311.
Man.
Before she was famous, she was hanging out over by the merchandise, and I went over and I said, I think your band's going to be huge. Can I give you a hug? She said yes. And I should have never let go.
Yeah, because then you would have had to fight with Blake.
Yeah, and Gavin. I would have beat him.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I see that.
No question. All right, next question. Who did Toph get up on stage with and play a Van Halen cover in Westland, Michigan, the band that was featured on episode 15?
No, I got nothing. I'm just going to throw in the towel on that one. I remember the story, but again, names. Listen, when you boys get as old as I am, you'll start forgetting stuff too.
Well, you're on fire. The wheels are falling off a little bit here, but hey, that was Winger.
Okay.
That was Winger. That was Winger playing a Van Halen song.
A Van Halen song or a Van Hagar song? Because we will be on opposite sides of that debate.
Yeah, it was actually on your side. It was Ain't Talking About Love. So it was a
nice.
little rough. Yeah.
And just for the record, I think which side of the argument you're on there depends on your age.
It probably does. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, if you were...
I think both of you made...
during the 1984 thing, then probably you're leaning towards that. But we were teenagers during OU 812 and Unlawful Carnal Knowledge and all that stuff. So
well, and I think your arguments are solid. I think the musically they were better as Van Hagar.
Yeah.
But Van Halen was a force to be reckoned with when I was in high school.
Yeah. As I'm sure you were too. Sam Fauser himself, a force to be reckoned with. Over at old was it Dexter High?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Dreadnoughts, baby.
All right, here we go. Time to get back on track. Here we go. We need momentum back on your side. Where did Nubs work in high school? Referenced several times. I'll give you a hint. It's a record store.
At the record shop.
But notably the in-store appearance from ICP that he was in charge of.
Right, which he was afraid to talk to them or something. He was in the tent with them all night and then finally said something at the end or something. I remember that.
Yeah, there was some line. What was the line that Shaggy 2 Dope had, Nubs, that he...
It was Jay. It's Violent Jay. And I wasn't afraid to talk to him. I listened to them all night, do their banter with people for an entire night, 8 hours. Finally,
what was that one line he said to the guy getting an autograph?
Well, I was getting you your autograph. I said, "Can you make this out to Chris?" And G goes, "Hey, I once knew a girl named Chris. You know what I did? I f***ed her." Oh,
that's right. That's ridiculous.
I was like,
apparently he was made to rub you first.
I was like, what planet did I just land on?
Yeah, that's great. Okay, what was the record store?
I don't know.
Obviously isn't open anymore.
But you boys spent a lot of time there. You've referenced that record store numerous times.
So the one we used to shop at all the time was Repeat the Beat in Plymouth, but Nubs actually worked at Blockbuster Music. In, was that in Livonia?
No, the in-store was at Rock of Ages.
Oh, that was at Rock of Ages.
Yeah.
Okay.
ICP would have never come to Blockbuster.
But you did. I did work. Okay.
I did. I worked at.
Well, we would have taken either answer.
We would.
So my coach is throwing the challenge flag, and he says, if the host of the game doesn't know the right answer, how can the player?
All right. Cool. Fine. We'll throw that one out. But okay. So Rock of Ages in Ann Arbor or Blockbuster Music in Northville. Is that right?
Rock of Ages in Garden City. Blockbuster Music was in Westland.
Wow, I was way off. Okay.
But it's okay. I mean,
all right, here we go. The boys have done 2 soundtracks and 1 single song as episodes. What are they?
Well, the single song is We Are the World.
That's correct.
That was recent. And that was a great episode, by the way. I don't know where you get your information, but that was amazing.
A lot of
where he got his information. He watched the documentary at least 50 times, it appears. Because
yeah, there you go.
He was very prepared for that episode.
He was, and there was some interesting stuff, and I especially
during one of our famous breaks, so I had plenty of time, while we were not recording an episode to research the next one,
Yeah, I like the part about Ray Charles did his piece when nobody else was there. And every time I've heard the song since, which has been a ton, I'm like, oh, yeah, there's nobody else. Yeah.
It's totally patched in. In fact, it's not even on time. Like he was literally just freelancing and then they dropped it into the song.
Yeah. The compilations, I got nothing.
The soundtracks?
Nothing.
Can't name one?
Nope. Hey, talk to me when you're 58, young man. You'll forget too.
Sam, you look a day over 35, by the way. You look fantastic.
Hey, I appreciate that. The check's in the mail.
Okay, well, one of them was This Is Spinal Tap.
Oh, right. I watched that movie after that episode dropped for the first time ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I was watching it with my wife and my kid. So we had to tap out pretty quick.
They're not going to get it.
But I'm going to go back and watch it because, it was up my alley.
I don't think I've ever met a female that has liked This Is Spinal Tap. Maybe a couple, actually.
I think I've only met one female that liked me, so I married her.
Yeah, you got lucky. The other was the Top Gun soundtrack. Nubs took us through the
yeah. I remember that, and you played a game during that one. And I was yelling at the episode because you guys didn't know it was a 1985 KZ900.
Oh, yeah, right. Mavericks motorcycle.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, it's KZ900. Are you kidding me? It was like the first big block ninja.
Yeah, that was a good question. Nubs put that game together. Nubs actually put some work into that one,
Well, he probably knew the right answers to the questions he asked.
I didn't, for sure. I remember getting that one wrong. All right. Which band featured on episode 81 was playing when Toph ditched Nubs and their mom, eventually getting lost and having his name announced on the main stage as a missing child at Woodstock 94? Which band was playing?
Right. That was a great story, by the way, and that was so you. I mean, that story was so on brand for you. It's like,
such an idiot.
Yeah, Nubs and Mom were putting the tent up, and I left.
Yeah.
Such a jerk. Such a jerk.
Sam, there was no embellishment to that story. That's literally how it went down.
Yeah, no, I mean,
we're like sweating profusely in the August New York heat. And we turn around doing all the work, and he's just gone.
He's just gone.
See ya.
He's just gone. So I think I get the point, because obviously I heard the episode and I remember, but the band, no, I got nothing.
I thought it'd be like Pine Knob, like they'll find me.
Yeah.
I forgot that there are like 400,000 people there.
Or didn't know, or more likely didn't care.
Didn't care.
Yeah.
Such a jerk. Okay, that was the band Live, where we highlighted Throwing Copper in episode 81, which was our last regular album episode. All right.
I don't think you need to tabulate the score. We'll just say I won.
You got two more.
Oh, okay.
All right. The boys have done 3 two-part episodes for double LPs. Name 2 of them.
I believe Tusk was one.
Tusk is one, correct?
And Rupert was a double show, but that wasn't a double album.
Correct.
There was one album that I remember in the final cut, you both agreed that it would have been a great single album, and it just went on and on and on and on, but I don't recall what album it was.
It's actually the album that sort of created the phrase double album syndrome.
Yeah, no help.
What is the most famous double album of all time, would you say? Rock and roll history.
But not the most exciting album sleep ever.
By the most famous band in rock and roll history.
The most famous band. Wow, that's a tough question. I mean, that's debate worthy. That's like saying who's the best basketball player ever.
Sam, let's just say it is a very boring, plain cover.
Aerosmith.
If you took a survey and said
album cover,
the Plane. Oh, I can see the album, but I don't know. I'm sorry, guys.
If you took a survey and said who's the best band of all time.
No, not airplane, Sam. Plane. Like
Plane. Yeah.
Basic. Like plane. Plain.
The Beatles' White Album.
Yes.
There you go.
All right, thanks. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Got it.
Nubs is there going, hey, dummy.
You're calling an album cover with a plane, though? That's pretty damn good. Aerosmith.
I'll take the head of Alfredo Garcia and the Beatles' White Album, please. What are some other album covers with planes on them? I know Beastie Boys' License to Ill. Yeah, that has a plane on it.
The one we're doing today is taken from Out of a Plane.
That's true. It's true.
Which, by the way, I didn't realize till I was about 40.
All right. Well, you sort of got to. The other one was, it's sort of I think it counts as a double album, is Guns N' Roses' Use Your Illusion 1 and 2.
Got it.
All right. Last question. Which artist that we covered on the podcast did Toph do a cover song of, which he posted on the podcast site? And this artist was featured in episode 75.
In the spirit of time, I have no idea.
That was a cover of On My Way Home by Enya.
And a solid cover, I'm sure.
When we did the Shepherd Moons episode about Enya. Okay. Listen,
a brilliant cover. Kind of is.
Thanks. You win. I don't even know the score. Doesn't matter.
No, I appreciate that.
Listen, I am no longer skeptical of your Two Twins and album knowledge. So well done. What do you say we get into those nerdy deets and let's dig up this album that Mr. Fauser has requested and see if we can make sense of it. Let's do the nerdy deets.
You want some dirty deeds? Yeah. You want some dirty deeds?
Alrighty then. Breakfast in America was released on March 29th, 1979. Sam, how old were you?
I was 14.
And we were negative 11 months.
Oh, so it was close to when you were trying to kill your brother.
Hatched. Yeah.
Sam, thanks for having the correct perspective on that incident, because that's exactly how I see it as well. Stealing all my blood.
I was hungry.
Just like leaving the tent at Woodstock,
Yeah, right?
It's all about him. It's all about him.
I am a jerk. I've never denied this. It is Supertramp's 6th studio album on A&M Records. The producer of the record is Peter Henderson. He has kind of an interesting line of credits. He produced the live album that followed this, which is called Paris, which is actually very good. And if you go on YouTube and you search, I think there's actual footage of this Paris performance by Supertramp.
That is a fantastic live record. It's so good.
Yeah.
They actually just remastered all of the footage from that, and you can download it from Apple iTunes.
Oh, nice. It's a really cool performance. I mean, you definitely make a lot more sense of this band when you see how they do this live, right?
They definitely look 70s, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they look extremely 70s. So this is Peter Henderson. So he did the live album that followed this. He also notably was lead producer on Grace Under Pressure by Rush. So Red Sector A is on that, one of my favorite Rush songs. Nubs, isn't Between the Wheels one of your favorite Rush tunes?
Distant Early Warning is, and that's the opening track on that album. Yeah. So this guy knew what he was doing. But then after these 2 records, which obviously did fairly well commercially, he basically got production credit for a bunch of compilations. So Peter Henderson, Sam, would have been perfectly fine with you submitting a compilation for your Round and Round. This is apparently how he made a living. It looks like he produced a blockbuster record, then did one with Rush, and then sort of was able to spend the rest of his production career assembling or remastering or whatever it is, a bunch of compilations. So there you go. Not a bad way to make a living. This won 2 Grammys, the aforementioned album cover, which is kind of a classic. It won the Grammy for Best Album Package, and it also won for Best Engineered Non-Classical Recording. It was nominated for Album of the Year. It did not win, but clearly this had a lot of accolades commercially. This has sold to date well over 20 million worldwide, quadruple platinum in the US.
#1 in many countries and spent 6 weeks atop the Billboard charts in the US. So, I mean, this thing clearly commercially did fairly well. They were going to do a concept album sort of about and we'll talk about the two guys a little bit, but their dynamic as partners, and have the songs be sort of like a conversation, talking at each other. And then they kind of scrapped it as a concept and decided, let's just do an album of a bunch of fun songs, as they put it. So probably a good business decision, I would say, by the band to instead of doing the concept album about themselves, to go with a fun album, as they put it. This, it turned out pretty good for them. Crime of the Century was a previous album released 5 years earlier. And Nubs, I mean, Sam, I don't know, we'll get your thoughts on this too, but Nubs, this one probably is more talked about in prog circles as one that was a little bit more experimental. This has like School and Bloody Well Right and Dream Army. It's a fantastic album. Most fans and most music appreciators would probably say that Crime of the Century was their best work, very critically acclaimed. But obviously Breakfast in America is the one that, they're known for and sold the most copies.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. It's Crime of the Century is definitely my favorite Supertramp album. It is their most proggy. Breakfast in America took them to the stratosphere. So it's their most, it's their most commercial, but as we'll get into, it's not the most commercial album ever, which makes it really, really cool that it was that popular. But Crime of the Century is definitely a favorite. If for any other reason, that title track is just incredible closer.
Yeah, I'll say this. I mean, Sam, I think it's a great call to do this record because it's a band that certainly I misunderstood. I mean, this has been really cool for me because to be honest with you, I mean, we'll get to it in Wonder Stories, but I always sort of got Supertramp and Loverboy mixed up.
Oh gosh, say it's not so.
like I kind of would be like, oh, Supertramp, don't they do Working for the Weekend?
That's like a big mix up, man.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Wow.
Now that's just mostly based on band name, but it's definitely helped center me, not only that these guys aren't Loverboy, but that the approach and the musicality of these guys was super interesting. I mean, they're a very interesting band. The way they collaborate, and we'll talk about Rick and Roger here in a minute, but the way they collaborated on this album was very Lennon-McCartney-esque. They both sort of created these songs and composed these songs on their own, and then kind of brought them to each other for some pointers or some sort of tweaks. While it's credited to the two guys, this was really an approach of, for the most part, they sing lead on the song that they wrote, and they both contributed heavily towards composition, but really in a separate manner. So it's a very interesting band in that way. Almost a duo, I guess you could refer to them. And who are these two guys? This is Rick Davies, as well as probably going to butcher his last name. How do you say his last name?
Hodgson.
Hodgson?
Hodgson.
Thank you, Roger Hodgson. And a couple of British dudes. And the first thing, it really is kind of a two-man operation, even though they had some great band members, certainly. But I wanted to figure out who's the guy who sings, who does that. And I spent a long time trying to figure out who's that voice. And it's actually both of them. They both do the falsetto thing, which makes it more confusing. But once you get it down, you can figure out who's who. Rick has a little bit more of a gravelly, almost like a spoken sounding voice, more straightforward. He does the verses on Goodbye Stranger. That's one of his songs. So that's the best way to differentiate his voice. Roger, who plays guitar in addition to keyboards and stuff, has a bit of a higher voice, a little chipper, a little more poppy, a little cheekier sound to his voice. So once you get it down, you can tell who's who. But when they're doing the falsetto, they sound almost exactly the same. So it's very interesting, their vocal approach.
The gauge I always use is Take the Long Way Home, Roger. If you learn that, then you can more easily tell them apart.
I just listened to the record and liked it.
Which makes you like 99% of music fans. We're the idiots that read into everything so much.
It means you don't have mental problems like we do, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you put in the like we do, because the first part of that statement was not true.
Yeah. So again, once you sort of figure out what's going on here, it's very, very interesting. The instrumentation, the vocal approach, the songwriting approach, very, very unique couple of guys here. It's a band that had already been not only around for a while, prior to Breakfast in America, but had also been quite successful and been quite critically acclaimed. And then they decided, almost intentionally, it sounds like, to sort of go in this more commercial direction. So what I want to hear, especially from our guest, but also from you, Nubs, because you and I haven't really talked about Supertramp a lot, why don't we get to the Wonder Stories, and Sam, maybe you can take us through why you thought this would be a good fit for the episode, besides just listening to it and like it, which you just mentioned. Was there anything deeper than that? Was there anything further than that? Or does this take you back to those days at Dexter High? Well, let's get a download from you on your selection, and Nubs, I'm also interested in your thoughts on this band as well. Let's get to the Wonder Stories. Sam, why don't you take it away as a, what'd you say? You were 15 when this came out? Just a young upstart.
Yeah, I was 15, and my Wonder Stories aren't going to be nearly as cool as your guys' Wonder Stories, because, you had the cool mom that took you to all the concerts, and mine is just me and my neighbor, Pat Haney. We'd play pool in his basement, and his dad was pretty cool, and he had a stereo with speakers down in the basement, and we'd throw 3 or 4 albums on the turntable, and Supertramp was always on there. So, for me, the music that I really, really like, I mean, you guys dive into the musicianship and all this stuff, but music that takes me back to my youth is stuff that just makes me crazy. So when I listen to Supertramp from top to bottom, I know every song because I listened to it so many times. I mean, this was back before you put together playlists. If you were lucky, you had a cassette recorder and you'd make a 90-minute mixtape that took you 4 days to make. These kids have no idea how easy they have it today. I used to have to walk 6 miles uphill both ways to make a mixtape. So, Supertramp was always on there, and we'd listen to side A, and Boston was in there, and REO Speedwagon. You can tune a piano, you can't tune a fish, but Supertramp was always in the mix. And every time I hear it, it just takes me back to those days where, I didn't have any bills to pay. And that was a wonderful time.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
Yeah.
We always joke about like when we used to think we were busy,
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We were so freaking busy, weren't we?
Yeah. So that's the key to my Wonder Story. It takes me back to my good friend from high school and playing pool in his basement. And Supertramp was just always one of the choices on the turntable because it was super hot when it came out. I mean, everybody had it.
Yeah.
On LPs back before they were retro.
Yeah. Now they're cool. Now they're cool again.
Yeah. Right.
Even for those guys who got rid of all theirs,
Uh-huh.
I do think this is a record that sounds really good on CD, though. And it might be sacrilege, but with all the different layers and elements going on, I think it's a pretty good CD album. I don't know. Nubs, have you seen this band, Nubs?
Well, no, because they've been broken up for a long time.
Only like 5 years. They reunited and stuff, and then like they officially called it quits like 5 years ago.
I think they came here, though. I don't remember like that tour.
Yeah.
By the way, I have it on CD, Japanese import only.
Oh, you got the Obi strip.
And I have it on vinyl, Japanese import.
Oh, another Obi strip.
Double Obi strip. I will say this is the only record I own in my collection where I actually have the Japan CD on SHM and the Japan vinyl pressing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here's a question, Nubs. How many albums do you have?
You're about to piss off my brother big time.
Here we go.
Because he hates hearing me talk about music format. How many thousands and thousands.
I wouldn't say
I
hate it. It's more about the music than the vehicle, but go ahead.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands and thousands. I'd have to count them all, but it's several thousand. It's an entire room in my basement. CDs all on the wall. And then I have those giant crates that they have at like record shops,
Yeah.
all full of vinyl. I got, box sets and
Nice.
It's
What I'll do,
super,
Sam-
as much as I make fun of him, it's super cool. I mean, it's awesome, like it's an awesome listening room. It's really cool.
Well, as I was looking for Breakfast in America today, I went through my box of albums. I probably got 100, and yeah, it is cool.
I'll shoot a little video for you, Sam. A little video tour. I'll send it to you, buddy.
Oh, there you go. I love it.
So my Breakfast in America story, at least my Supertramp story, goes back to our mom, who Sam already mentioned. Thank you for mentioning her. And her favorite kid of the three of us has always been our older brother, Scotty B.
No contest.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
And
But you're not bitter
for it. No, not at all.
It's just we've accepted. We accepted it long ago, and she denies it, which is the funniest part.
It is funny. It's ridiculous. But
well, you both have children. You have to deny it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have a favorite.
Yeah, I think I have a favorite.
Oh, you do. It just depends on when you'll finally admit it.
Exactly. The story that she would incessantly tell about my older brother is that he would sit and in his car seat and say that he wants to hear the Take the Long Way Home song. And then she'd imitate him moving his head back and forth. And I was always like, God, she tells this story to anyone who will listen. But it did get me thinking, what is this Take the Long Way Home song? And it turns out it's Supertramp off this album, of course. And so I didn't like the song for a long time. And then later in life, when I got more into this band and Crime of the Century and some of their other work, then I was like, ooh, that song is actually pretty cool. So that kind of got me into Supertramp. They played them a lot on classic rock radio here in Detroit, 94.7. Logical Song and Goodbye Stranger and Breakfast in America were regular tunes, and Take the Long Way Home, of course. Proggy enough to keep me interested, poppy enough to kind of be able to play it in your car if someone else is in the car and not have them hate it too much. So not a top tier band for me, but a band that I certainly respect and like. And no, I've never seen them and always would have liked to. My closest was Roger Hodgson played in Ringo Starr's All-Star Band one tour. And I didn't go. I should have. I would have liked to. It was a great lineup. But yeah, T, that's my Supertramp wonder story. T, what's your Breakfast in America story?
Nice, Nub. I thought that maybe back a few years back, you had seen these guys as part of a package show or something like that. But yeah, probably a rare instance here of a band we never saw. I mean, listen, I don't have a tremendous wonder story because I just figured out that these guys and Loverboy are two separate bands like a year ago.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's no, I definitely. Yeah,
you're like, I first heard Working for the Weekend, 20 years ago.
It was great. Yeah.
I mean, there's a chance that a Loverboy dated a Supertramp, but
probably did happen.
Yeah, right.
Probably. They all did. Loverboy. Were they Canadian band?
I don't know. They were huge when I was in high school too.
Maybe, should we do a Loverboy episode next? Maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I mean, I have the two records in my digital collection, but I honestly, this was a great opportunity to learn more about them. And honestly, watching the Paris clips is a great way to gain some appreciation for this band. When you see them, the sort of two-headed monster that they are with the two lead frontmen composers, they both sing together. The instrumentation with the keyboard work and some of the musicians that they play with are really good. I mean, you kind of get a whole new, okay, this wasn't just a commercial machine. This was actually a band of really good musicians and really good songwriters. And, listen, they set out to create something fun, as they put it, in commercial, and they did. Here's something interesting, since I don't have a great wonder story. Ultimate Classic Rock rated in order the 10 best Supertramp songs. So, what would you guys guess is number one on this list?
Well, I'd go with Take the Long Way Home.
What would you guys? You say Take the Long Way Home, Sam? What would you say?
That's where I'm at.
Logical Song, I would guess.
Okay, so Take the Long Way Home is 8th. Logical Song is 6th. This guy put Give a Little Bit as number one.
Okay.
It's a good song.
Which is good. All right. What would you say is number 2 that hasn't been mentioned yet?
I'd say Goodbye Stranger. Musically, it's just so adventurous. And
Goodbye Stranger is number 4.
Okay.
I'd say Lord Is It Mine.
That is not even on the list, but I'm going to listen to it.
That's a
'cause you
good
mentioned
song.
it. All right.
Can I take one flyer guess?
Oh, that's on the record. Lord, is it mine? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, go ahead, Nub.
Crime of the century?
Not on the list.
That's a crime.
Of the century.
Legit. Yeah.
So number 2 is Bloody Well Right.
Oh, that's a good tune.
Okay.
Right.
You want to try number 3?
No,
I'm gonna guess-
I don't.
I'm going to guess Dreamer.
Dreamer's number 10. Number 3 is School.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And then we've gotten through most of the rest of Breakfast in America, the title track. This is number 9. So anyway, I think there's 4 from this record that are noted as and this was their whole catalog noted as one of their 10 best songs. So I'll keep learning about these guys. And now that I've figured out that they're not an 80s, hair metal operation or whatever Loverboy was.
Red leather pant wearing.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, boys, listen, unless we had anything else to add, why don't we dig into this thing a little bit and drop the needle? Let's go.
Put the needle on the record. 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 When the drum beats go like this.
Well, I loved dropping the needle on this because you know that it's a fairly commercial effort. And you know that this was, a song, an album that produced, I think it was 5 singles, and not just like cuts. These were like 4 like super magnificent classic hits. So you kind of aren't sure what you're going to get out of some of the tracks that aren't as, famous or didn't have a lot of radio airplay. And you certainly, at least I was very curious as to how a record like this would open and how a record like this would close. And I gotta say, I was like really pleasantly surprised with the way this opens with track 1, the opening track of Breakfast in America, which is Gone Hollywood.
Yeah, the dog of the boulevard. So keep your chin up, boy. I know you'll make it if you try again. As long as you quit when the world is waiting
So I didn't know if it was going to sort of kick off with something like super commercial sounding or poppy sounding or whatever, kind of like you get arguably in some of the areas of this record. But it starts out with a song that really is kind of a little bit of an adventure. I mean, it's 5+ minutes. It feels like it's a 10-minute song because it takes you in all these different directions, but it's actually just over 5 minutes. It has a very unusual song structure. There's no verse, chorus, verse. There's this middle section. There's a lot of long instrumentation on this record. And this track has this middle section with the piano and the saxophone. Love the incorporation of the keyboards and the sax. There's a clarinet on one song. It's just, these guys were really into instrumentation, but I love that it kicks off with something that clearly was a little bit more thoughtful, a longer piece, and anything but sort of poppy and commercial sounding. I think Gone Hollywood's one of the better tracks on the record, actually.
I think it's a good track, but I hate the way this album starts.
Really? Okay.
Because I've listened to this album tens of thousands of times, I bet. And every single time I'm grabbing for my volume knob on this first song because that piano fades in. And I'm like, is it on? Is it on? Is it playing? And then I just get blasted. But once I get past that piece, every single time, it's an amazing song.
I think this song is more Supertramp than most of the songs on the album. If you listen to their other albums and you hear kind of the adventurous side of the band, this is much more like them than Take the Long Way Home.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I love it too. And I think that if you're this is a progressive rock thing, but I'm always intrigued by the idea that if you're a 17-year-old in 1979 and you hear the Logical song on the radio and you buy this and then you put it on, you listen to this opening track, you're like, what the hell? I dig that. I think it was bold for them to put Gone Hollywood as the opening track. And they're kind of saying, here we are. You like all these songs that are on the radio, but this is actually who we are. I think that's a bold statement to open the record.
I agree. It's almost kind of theatrical, and the guitar tone is great. They get some high gain going here, on some of these tracks where, the guitar playing has some really good bite. Now this is a Rick Davies song, so we'll kind of note, which one's which. because it's kind of certainly one or the other. But this is where both guys sing, but this was a Rick song. So now we move on to track 2, which was a Roger song, and this clearly is one that's become a classic over time. This is the Logical Song.
Please tell me who I am. I said, what would you say? They'll be calling you a radical, a liberal, a fanatical criminal. Oh, won't you sign up your name?
There's some songs, especially from this time period of radio domination and rock radio and AOR type domination, where you kind of go back to it now and you listen to it and you're like, God, why was that song a hit? This is one of those where you listen to it now, at least for me, and it's like, oh God, what a great of course that was a hit. Like it's really creative. There's some really great progressions, some great rhythms. Again, the usage of the Wurlitzer, not the Ty Webb Fender Rhodes, but the Wurlitzer is very prevalent, as it is throughout the record. I mean, this is one of those where I think it's held up extremely well. You listen to it now and you're like, of course that was a hit and should have been.
Yeah, I've got a bad perspective on whether or not it held up because, as I said, this music takes me back to my youth. And to me, it's just amazing. And, you guys have said many times that you're not lyrics guys. How do you not listen to these songs and listen to the lyrics and just be blown away? I mean, I love this song. I think it's fantastic.
You have no idea how many times we've been asked that. And I don't have a great answer. I mean, to me, the voice is an instrument, it's an instrument that provides melody, and like he could be singing about farm animals and it probably wouldn't make any difference to me. But I do think that you bring up a good point where a lot of the credit that these guys got was a lot of their work lyrically was pretty conceptual and was directional in a lot of cases. I know that this one, I believe, was about kind of education and sort of some of the viewpoints on education as a system and some of those things. So oftentimes, and I think this is quite beautiful when it comes to music, is you get catchy poppy, but actually what's being said is very important and more meaningful with some depth, which is always, and Phil Collins did that brilliantly. Like, just great combination of those type of things. Nubs, that's for you, buddy. I know how to wake Nubs up. You just say Phil.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a fair point. I know that there's a lot of people that that have a lot of additional respect for Supertramp based on the lyrical content. I just wish I gave a shit about it.
I just don't want the lyrics to be a distraction. That's the biggest thing for me. It is important to me that they fit the tone. I mean, farm animals, might be a little distracting, but I understand what T's saying.
It depends on which ones, right? I mean, if
it's cows, then it's probably okay.
Cows.
Wow.
That's cool.
I love the Logical Song. I think this is the first Supertramp song that I sort of fell in love with. I think there's a lot of emotion in the chorus that's really not a chorus. If you think about that, there are times when, I think it's being sung very, very well. It's a strange chorus, though. It never really lifts. It almost drops into a chorus, which is kind of cool. The hook of the song is whatever that little noise is at the very end. What is that? Woo! Or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think Logical Song's great. I think it holds up completely. And I agree with you, T. You listen to it, it's like, yep, that was a hit,
Definitely. So that was a Roger song. Now let's go back to Rick. Track 3. This may have been the point when people kind of realized, okay, this might be a special album. And that is track 3, Goodbye Stranger. So I got totally, I guess this is my best crack at a Wonder story. I got totally into this song in college. And actually, it's a pretty big P.T. Anderson fan. And there's a film he did called Magnolia that had this song in it during one of those. He's kind of famous for these scenes where a song would carry the scene, and they play this song in full during that movie. It was one of my favorite movies. And I wish I would have taken a step further and kind of said, okay, I want to learn more about this band, but I was in college and was an idiot, whatever. But I did really get into this song heavily. This is probably one of those that I don't think I had even heard before that. And it was like, oh, wow. And instead of saying these guys must be good, I want to check them out, I did that, just like 20 years later, but I think it's a brilliant song.
Yeah, I love this one as well. I mean, it's a hit for a reason. And every time I hear it, this story's probably getting old, but it takes me back, and it's just good stuff.
Not a big fan.
It takes me back 20 years. I can't even imagine, going back
40.
30. Yeah. I mean, that's even better.
45.
I'm not a fan of Goodbye Stranger, guys. I have to say, my least favorite song on the album, probably my least favorite of all the Supertramp kind of mainstream hits.
Is it the voice? Is it is it irritating?
I think it might be its role in the movie Magnolia, which is a film that I love. This one felt way too like poppy, way too like we're trying to make a hit, but credit them. They tried to make it and they did. So yeah,
I can hear that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The falsetto is a little much.
The falsetto is a little much, but I think that's where, my favorite part of the song is when you've got the falsetto and then he comes in underneath with Sweet Devotion. And so you got sort of happening. Almost sounds like it's in the round. So, yeah, to me, it's a song that builds. The thing I like about it is that it keeps, and that pre-chorus where the guitar rings out. Those are the parts of the song and the solo at the end. The drumming, some of the work he's doing on the bell nub during that, guitar solo and stuff is really, really strong. The falsetto piece is probably my least favorite part of the song, but I think the rest of the song's really, really interesting and creative. Well, debatable as to whether or not they thought that Goodbye Stranger was being written as a hit, but let's shift back to Roger. And I'm pretty sure it's fair to say that when they were writing this one, that they probably knew that they had a hit on their hands, and that is with the title track, Breakfast in America.
Take a jumbo across the water, I can see America. I see the girls in California, I'm hoping it's going to come true, but there's not a lot I can do. Could we have breakfast for breakfast? Mommy dear, they gotta have 'em in Texas.
I think there's a tuba in there, if you can pick it out.
There's definitely some low brass going.
Yeah, definitely. And again, the instrumentation is part of the coolness of this band. The live clip of this is very cool. It's kind of like, it's got this nice groove to it. So, I don't know if I'd put it up there as one of my favorites on the record, but shoot, this is one of those songs, once they finished it, they probably were like, this is going to make us some money.
Another hit without a chorus.
Yeah.
There is no chorus unless you count the little break that they do as the chorus, which maybe you do, but it's like a weird thing with this band and this album is like no catchy choruses, yet tons of hits.
Maybe that's why it was so successful, because it wasn't just another something kicked out of this is the formula, do it.
It's a great point. One of the cool things about these guys is the verse, chorus, verse structure isn't very prevalent. Some of these middle sections almost turn into jams. Some of these pre-chorus sections remain pre-choruses, and to your point, Nub, never really turn over into something that's an intentional hook. I think they were pretty clever with not following a template and being able to obviously achieve a lot of commercial attention without sort of following a formula. And to your point, Sam, that may be part of the appeal, part of what people thought was cool. This song also features a clarinet, which, come on. Besides Ian Anderson playing the flute, does it get more rock and roll than pulling out a frickin' clarinet?
Doesn't it though? When you put in a traditional band instrument into a rock and roll song, it just makes them cool all of a sudden.
It's the best.
Yeah. This is a short song.
Very sub almost like 2.5 minutes. And they seem to be good at that, right? It was kind of like, if there's a reason to draw it out, which we'll get to in the last track, sure. But if there's no reason to, get to the point and get out,
Yep.
And that's obviously part of the more commercial approach to this. All right, we get to our first real, I would say, deeper album cut here. I was afraid at first this was going to be a cover of an awful Beatles song, but then I realized it's not. It's a Rick Davies song, track 5, and the last song on side 1 for you LP enthusiasts out there. Oh, darling. You start to, at this point, certainly get a feel for a Rick song versus a Roger song. You know, there are some differences, even though there were a lot of artistic similarities. You almost get to the point where you can pick out that this is a Rick track. Nice and simple from my perspective. What do you guys think?
I think that, first of all, this is the Born to Rub You First, right? This must be the song that reminded you of the Rhodes piano tee.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that at this point, you kind of think, are these guys just able to write nonstop hooks after nonstop hooks? Because it wasn't a hit, but it almost sounds like it could have been, because it's so catchy. It's got this unique kind of open rhythm. And this is one where it does have a catchy chorus for sure. But I'm sure a lot of people by the end of side 1 were thinking, this is the greatest band I've heard in my life, which might explain why Breakfast in America was so incredibly successful, right?
I think it could have been a hit, probably if it was another band around the same time, probably could have been. I mean, at some point you kind of run out of room, but I think it's a great way to wrap up side 1. And then, goodness, you flip the thing over and you hear probably what is certainly one of their most famous songs. And just one more reason why, our older brother became the favorite, Nub. And that's, track 6, or the first song on side 2, which is Take the Long Way Home. Is it wrong if I kind of don't like this song?
No, I don't think so. I could see why someone doesn't like this song a lot. I love it, but I could totally see why somebody doesn't.
It just,
like
to me, sounds like a Saturday morning cartoon song. Like it's not. It's
a little too whimsical, isn't it? Like
it's a lot whimsical.
Yeah,
it's a little overly bouncy. Honestly, I think vocal and piano during this would be great.
Hey, T, not to nerd out too much, but listen to the version that Roger does with Ringo Starr and the All-Star Band.
Really?
It's much better than this version. It's more raw. Ringo kind of swings it too. It sounds really good on the drums. And then he rips off a Logical song with Ringo's band that's, again, probably better than the original.
Dude,
too.
how great of a drummer was Ringo? The guy's so good.
Yeah.
He's so
Pioneer.
We've talked about it. The drummers where you can tell it's them without hearing any. I mean, Ringo could play the drums in a room by himself, and I could listen to it for 30 seconds and know that it's him.
He had a voice.
Now,
he had a voice.
Is that because he's amazing? No. Is that because he's the most skilled? It's kind of like a Lars Ulrich type thing, but at least it's him. So interesting. I'll have to listen to that.
Do you guys know the Ringo Tom Petty story? So Johnny Depp was opening a jazz club or something, and he wanted Petty to play. And this is when Petty's original drummer was leaving and had quit or got fired or something. And Petty calls him up and he says, well, I got Ringo. You don't need to come play. And then they cut to Johnny Depp in the documentary. He's like, oh, Ringo could have played that night? I didn't know that.
Oops.
Yeah.
Nubs used to say this for a long time, and I thought maybe it was just Nubs fighting for the underdog, kind of thing. But now I'm like, God, was he right? Like that guy just has a style and a distinctive, and you listen to some of those Beatles songs, those fills and things that he was doing. I mean, this whole thing of like Paul was a better drummer than Ringo. I mean, nonsense. God,
he had a voice, man. If you're a drummer and you have a voice, you're doing something right. You don't have to be Neil Peart to be a drummer with a voice.
Yeah, the Beatles, they didn't suck.
They were okay.
Yeah,
They were okay.
they might make it.
Track 7, already mentioned once by Fauser. So we know what he's going to think of this one. He wanted to put it in the top 10. This is a Roger song. Lord, Is It Mine?
And this is the time to understand. Is it mine? Oh Lord, is it mine? When everything's dark and nothing seems right.
All right, this might not be a popular opinion with our guest, but I kind of feel like maybe Supertramp should have just stayed away from the ballads.
I mean, I'm when it comes to pretty much any music that was popular in this time, I'm a homer. And I would listen to it top to bottom. And, Nubs has said it on a number of episodes. Maestro, you picked a great spot where that drum comes in and it starts to crescendo. I love that part of this song.
Yeah. Well,
but I get it.
By the way, you just scored another point by using the term maestro. Good.
He
spot,
just crossed 667 points.
That's right.
On the day. He's doing very well. I think you're onto some with the ballad thing. I don't think it's them at their best. I think that mid-tempo and slower songs are probably fine, but I don't know. I do agree with that. Maestro shows a good clip though. So
yeah.
You're calling that, Sam.
I think that certain voices, their approach is fascinating, but that not everybody can do the ballad thing, right? Remember some of those,
for sure.
Like some of those hair metal bands would do it because record company told them they needed to have one. And it's just no, like faster Pussycat would try a ballad. It's like, no, guys. But so I think it was kind of like the thing to do, but I just don't know if it fits this band particularly well. So,
well, let me help you out with it. It does.
Okay. Well, that's, that settles that. Track 8, Just Another Nervous Wreck. Yeah. And you can certainly hear this being a Rick song, right? I think by the time you're at this point, you're like, oh yeah, that's a Rick song. Do we like the kind of, I guess by Supertramp standards, more aggressive, yet still hooky thing here?
Supertramp goes metal on this one. Pretty much.
Yeah. What do we think of this, boys?
I like it. I think I like the more aggressive singing. I think that's effective. Big groove, good drum sound. But it's the keys and the pianos and the Rhodes. I mean, that's what drives all these songs, isn't it? You're not like playing a lot of air guitar to Supertramp. You sure as hell are playing a lot of air piano.
Right? Yeah, right. The keys are very distinctive. I mean, to me, it's as distinctive as when you hear a Doors song. I mean, the keys and Doors, it just, you know who it is as soon as those keys or that organ comes in.
Yep.
They really should have copyrighted the effect that they put on the piano. It's a little bit of chorus effect. And I don't think a lot of people were doing that before this band, or at least not on the commercial level. So I really do like the very synthetic, but very memorable keyboard sounds that they come up with some of their treatments.
Oh, you mean this sound? You mean that one?
Well, I mean, Caddyshack was 80 and this album was 79. So definitely Ty Webb was ripping off Supertramp.
Hey guys, was that a Wurlitzer piano? Just wondering.
We should start dropping that as a set. Like whenever we have sort of nothing more to say, or there's a little bit of a lull in the conversation, just kind of.
That's a great idea.
Wow.
Instead of opening the episodes with Herb, we should just be like, and an album. you know? Anyway, enough fun. Let's get to track 9. It's another ballad, isn't it? Let's see what we think of this one. Casual Conversations.
Years are fading out of you. Don't know if I feel joy or pain. It's a shame. Now it seems it's all been said.
It's actually not a ballad.
If you must leave, then go.
Kind of like it's an interesting beat. It's almost like a Broadway type beat. Dunes, right? Casual Conversation, second to last track. What do we think here, fellas?
It's my least favorite of the 10. That's for sure. But for me, if I know the music, then I typically like it because I've listened to it enough to know it. And that's definitely the case with this one. But it would definitely be number 10 of the 10.
Yeah, it just kind of moves along. I mean, I do like that it's not trying to do too much, right? It's probably the most minimalist you get here.
Yep.
Not too long. It's just a tick under 3 minutes. So again, not embellishing. I think it's okay. I think it's a good way to set up what is more of an epic approach, and certainly a 7.5 minute song to take you home here as the closer. I'm kind of interested in both you guys' thoughts on this one. This is the closer, track 10 to Breakfast in America, with a rather long piano solo at the end that takes you home here on Child of Vision. Got a little 70s porn to it, doesn't it, fellas?
It's a jam. And I'd be lying if I didn't say that this is the first time I realized it was that long. So as many times as I've listened to it, it's never been one that I skipped through and I never felt like it went on too long. It's a jam.
You got to love the corny sax,
It reminds me of a 70s porno as things are really picking up now.
I agree.
Right?
It could definitely be that soundtrack.
So yeah, I think it closes in cool fashion. I do like the jam. I like the last like 3 minutes of that thing are sort of this piano sax extravaganza, which I think is pretty neat. And even the front half of the song that leads up to it is pretty cool. So
you guys have talked a lot about how albums are put together. And before I started listening to you two jokers on this pod, I never even really thought about it, how albums were put together. It's like there's just a bunch of songs and where do they fit? But yeah, I like this one. It takes you on a ride.
Yeah. You can kind of tell, especially when you're brain damaged like we are and you put a lot of time into all this stuff, you can kind of tell who was thoughtful about the sequencing of an album and who wasn't. I actually think these guys were, for an album that is very hit based and singles based, and they knew that damn well before it got released. I still think they wanted to open it in a certain way and close it in a certain way, and I respect that. This could have felt like a singles compilation, but I actually do think it feels like an album, like an experience, and part of it is certainly the way it starts and the way it finishes. So, well, gents, what do you say we get to the final cut here? And let's decide whether this classic record that Mr. Fauser brought to the table is going on the turntable, in the collection, collecting dust, or wah for sale bin. Nubs, why don't you start, buddy?
Be very hypocritical, as I already showed you guys my 2 Japanese.
Yeah, you have 18 copies of it. Yeah, so.
But I'm going to go within the collection. I think that the album tracks do leave a little bit to be desired. Love Gone Hollywood, of course, is the opener, but it is an album packed with hits. It's a good snapshot of the late 1970s. I think it sets up what was to come in the 1980s. Think about an artist like Duran Duran, just teasing that idea of commercial versus artistic and innovative versus something that people would, actually just like hearing on the radio. Supertramp did that before any of those bands in the 80s did, and sort of set the stage, I think, from a business perspective on what music could sound like that both pleases the artist and the everyday consumer. And Breakfast in America certainly did that, as shown by the billions of copies that it sold over time. So I have it in the collection. Let's go to Sam. What do you got?
Well, I think you make really good points. But I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. And it's from a time in my life where music was just a huge part. And I can listen to this thing from top to bottom the same way today that I could 40 years ago. And so for me, it's, if I had a turntable, it would be on the turntable without a doubt.
I mean, it was your choice. I would hope you'd put it on the turntable. You know?
Yeah. I'm going to get one shot to be with the cool kids at the lunch table. I'm going to bring a dud.
Yeah. You'd throw us a bit of a curveball if you showed up and then put it in the for sale bin. You know?
Yeah, right.
It'd be like 2 hours that we'll never have back. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think it's a great call. I'm very, very appreciative that you brought this not only to the table for the episode, but that you got it on my radar, because it's a band that I clearly didn't know enough about and have learned a ton about the two guys and the approach and the instrumentation and the uniqueness. This is a very unique band, right? There was not, especially in the late 70s, you had a lot of crap going on. You had rock, you had sort of very radio oriented, rock music. You had disco, you had a lot of stuff going on, right? You had a lot of stuff going on. Some of the early new wave was starting, punk was going. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on, and these guys carved out a pretty unique sound, right? And it's been cool to certainly not just learn more about the album, but learn more about the band. This is going to be a dust collector for me, and that's nothing to take away from it, but there's too many good songs and good moments on it for it to be in the for sale bin. I almost think with Supertramp, you could get away with Crime of the Century and then maybe scatter some tracks or a best of on top of that, dare I say it. So it's not one of those that, I'd be like completely heartbroken if it wasn't being played a lot. I do think it should be in the collection, but for me, it probably wouldn't get a ton of spins. So I'm going to go collecting dust, but I will say that a wonderful choice, Sam, for you to bring to the table, buddy. Why don't we close things out? And I'm only going to spin Dolores once because, I already got, called out for
being a button pusher.
So let's go in your head. Nub, you go first. What's in your head, buddy?
A bunch of stuff ringing in my head at the moment.
Gotcha. Sorry, go ahead.
Bait and switch. Let's go with 3 songs. First is going to be from our good friend Steven Wilson, who we just talked about in the 2022 year in review episode, The Frontman of Porcupine Tree. And that is one of his solo songs, the beautiful and wonderful closing track, The Raven That Refused to Sing, off of an album called The Raven That Refused to Sing. Go figure. One of my favorite closing tracks of all time. Second would be a little song by Madonna called Borderline.
It's a good song.
Probably my favorite Madonna song.
Sure is. Great song.
It's so good. Like such a good groove. It's kind of Madonna like actually singing well, which she didn't always do. And absolutely love it. And then lastly, we're going to go with a little 80s gem. We're going to just kind of stick in Sam's wheelhouse here. A little Thompson Twins with Hold Me Now.
Oh man, that's an amazing tune.
Yeah.
Oh, now that one, those lyrics I'm listening to during that one. But
yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, that's what's in my head. T, why don't we go with you next? What's in your head?
I've got that's a great call on Thompson Twins. In fact, I've often thought about, was it called Into the Fold, that great record they put out in the mid 80s. I've often thought about whether or not that's episode worthy.
Into the Gap. I think it's pretty close to episode worthy. Yeah.
There you go. What did I say? Into the Void?
Into the Fold.
Fold. Oh, Into the Void's a Nine Inch Nails song.
Sure.
Speaking of Nine Inch Nails, I'm watching for like the 5th time the Ken Burns Vietnam documentary. So like the 6-part documentary. And the soundtrack to that is a Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross piece, which those guys are doing some super cool soundtrack work for various TV and films, and obviously doing Ken Burns Vietnam. It's just such a good fit. And it's a really important, I think, part of this documentary, which is amazing. So I'm going to shout out with that soundtrack because I've, in addition to watching the actual documentary, I've also just listened to the soundtrack because it's so cool. So a lot of that Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross stuff is awesome. Hey, there's an old song by the Doobies. You know, I think this was post Michael McDonald, but Call the Doctor. Music is the doctor. You know, you guys know that one?
Oh, how do you not know the new Doobies if you're my age?
Yeah.
Post Michael McDonald or pre Michael?
Yeah, this was post Michael McDonald, one of those
Wow.
like 80s kind of
Like
pop
late
songs.
80s deep cut.
Don't you know
Yeah.
the doctor? Call the doctor. Here, this one.
Oh,
Yeah. Come on. Yeah. You know that one?
that sounds awful.
Dude, it's what? Are you out of your mind?
Terrible.
Besides, speaking of lyrics, great lyrics. The lyrics to that are that all about how music heals you much like a doctor. So it's like a love letter to music. Music is the doctor. It's great.
Great
That's
metaphor.
awesome.
Great metaphor.
Nubs is gonna call me in like 3. This is typical. He's gonna call me in like 3 days and be like, "All right, that song, The Doctor's pretty awesome." Right? Come on, Nub. Right?
That does happen from time to time. All the time.
Yeah. I'm getting back. We did the Mars Volta back many episodes ago, and I got to say that you know how every couple of years I just have to get through Cassandra Dramini, the 32-minute song, like once a day, just to clear the palate. Well, I'm on one of those kicks. So while it's 32 minutes long, I will throw Cassandra Dramini in there, and then. I think I've noted this one before, but it came on yesterday while I was doing Legos with Clay because he's now back into Legos again. I thought that phase was over, but now we're back. Just wonderful.
Oh, I got bad news about that phase, brother.
Jeez.
I'm in it right now.
Are you?
Yeah.
What are you building?
Adult
Cars.
Legoing? I like it.
Cars.
So we're doing a Technic. So I have a Jeep Gladiator. That's what I drive these days.
I know.
And we're
Sweet.
doing. Yeah, and we're actually building a yellow Jeep Gladiator, which it's very cool, actually.
Yeah, that's on my shelf. I got it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, we've got about 30 pages to go. And it's actually, I mean, it's really fun to do together. I'm kind of glad that he's back into it, but you know,
I started down the Lego rabbit hole because my kid Lucas is into the Titanic.
Okay.
And Lego came out with this Titanic set, and when it's done, it's
wow.
5 foot long.
Oh my
Nine-
God.
Is he just a
9,000
giant Leonardo DiCaprio fan, or how?
No. Come on now. Let's not go there. He's just he's into history. He's definitely
Nice.
not my stuff, but yeah, he digs it.
That's cool. Well, we were building Legos yesterday, and the Martika song Toy Soldiers from the 80s was covered wonderfully by Silver Sun Pickups, who's a favorite band of mine, even though I don't like their. You notice their album didn't even make my top 5 on album of the year. So
I was surprised, but then I figured they went festival rock probably.
you know what? They did.
Yeah,
and we
they all do.
And by the way, for those who haven't tuned into episode 81, we also cover festival rock quite a bit. It's funny. We were about to wrap that episode, and then we spend 45 extra minutes on Taylor Swift, Harry Styles, and festival rock. So,
Three things that you hate.
yeah. So anyway, this cover of Toy Soldiers by Silver Sun Pickups was great, and that is what is in my head. Sam Fauser, thank you, buddy. This was a long time in the works. We really appreciate you listening to the podcast and your support of the podcast, and for calling us out for taking too long of a break. We needed that, but I'm glad we were able to make it happen, buddy. And thank you again for having me on Sam and Drew Talk Training, which
Or Drew and Sam Talk Training. I mean, it's all
Drew and Sam, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, it was a blast.
And a man of few words, Sam Fauser.
Yeah.
And we will. Nubs, do you have anything you want to say? Just in general? I mean, you want to.
I think all that comes to mind is I was born to love you. I was born to kiss your face. I was born to rob you, but you were born to rub me first. Let's go down the patio.
You know what? I got to say, I hate to call you out, but you said kiss your face.
Lick your
going
face.
to lick your face.
Yeah, it's very spontaneous. I was doing
Listen,
myself.
that's fine.
And he doesn't care about lyrics. Neither one of you do.
That's, yeah,
Exactly.
see, he doesn't even get the lick your face part.
Well done.
yeah. All right, boys. Well, hey, enjoyed it. And boy, we will be back soon, hopefully, or unless we take another 2-month break for no reason. But
We'll be back soon, T, to talk about more music.
oh boy.
Nice.
Oh boy. You just done did it, didn't you? So yeah, that's what we'll be back for. Here on Two Twins and an album. Y'all take care now.
Two twins.
Well, that's about it. That's all we have. I hope it wasn't too disappointing. We will see you on tour. Until then, take it easy.